Today I'm going to be making my chicken soup recipe and showing you what that looks like. So firstly I'm just going to run through all the ingredients that I have laid out and what you'll need to make this recipe. And the equipment, let's start there. So here I have a cast iron pot. You can either use, so you need something to slow cook it in, so I'm going to use a slow cooker here. But if you have a large cast iron pot that you could fit in the oven or could fit a lot of liquid in, that would work too. I'm just using the cast iron pot to brown off the chicken and then it'll all go in the slow cooker. As I mentioned, the chicken, I'm using chicken legs. You could use chicken thighs. I think things with the bone in make the soup very tasty. But yeah, any chicken works. These are 4 organic chicken thighs. I've got my seasonings over here, so just black pepper, mixed herbs, and some salt. That's what I'll be using for seasonings. I've got some ghee, organic grass-fed ghee. I'll be using this to cook the chicken in, just to sear off the chicken. I'll probably put some extra in the soup, just to make it tastier. I've got my broth. Sometimes I make broth and have it in the freezer, but today I've just got some Burra broth. It's easier. Over here I have my produce. So I've got a couple of leeks, got a load of carrots, I can't really pick them all up, and a load of carrots. That's the produce I'm going to use today. But you could really put anything in this to your taste. I'm going off I guess it's not really a recipe, more an ingredients list. The Whole Foods Mum's chicken soup, because I had it last year, it was really tasty, so I just took a picture of the ingredients and recreated it myself at home, and they use carrots and leeks. But yeah, you can put any vegetables in this that you choose. Also got fresh ginger, garlic and half a red onion here. And I'm gonna also put some herbs. Got a packet of basil, because I don't have any basil growing, but I've got fresh herbs on the windowsill behind, which I'll chop a bit off and show you that later, which herbs I'm going to put into this. So the first step will be cooking the chicken. So I've seasoned my chicken legs with some salt and pepper, and then I'm just heating up the pan and melting some ghee in here. Then I place the chicken legs in, seasoned side down to sear. And then when I finish that, I will season the underside so that when they're flipped, they're also seasoned. Next up, it's time to chop the aromatics. So I'll chop up my red onion into little cubes. I'll chop half this big chunk of ginger. Would probably use all of it if anyone in my family was unwell or having a cold or a flu or any inflammation. Chopping that up finely. And then lastly, I've peeled some garlic cloves here, and I'm using this useful tool to crush the garlic. I'll tag the tool in the description, it's very helpful, just from Amazon. Then my lovely chicken thighs are all browned, so I'm turning these over. Chicken legs, I meant, not chicken thighs. Next, I'm chopping up the leeks here. Then I'll turn on my crock pot and add in my broth. Shortly followed by all the chopped up leeks. Next, I'm chopping up the carrots. I chopped up all the carrots in this bowl minus a couple of them, as the crock pot was getting pretty full. Then, after adding in the carrots and some filtered water, I'll add in the chicken legs. Then I'm cooking the aromatics in the fat left over in the pan I seared the chicken. Cooking those until they're soft. The ingredients that I'm using today, this is probably enough for two weeks. So by that I mean this week I'll have this soup for a few days. Probably some lunches and maybe involved in some dinners as well. And then I'll freeze half of it and keep that for a few days next week as well, just to spend the time I get to enjoy it. In terms of the amount of ingredients, I did say I was going to do all those carrots, but I kept a couple because I knew that the crock pot was going to get way too full otherwise. So now I'll show you the fresh herbs I'm going to collect up, chop up and then pop straight in the crock. So I highly recommend adding fresh herbs into this soup. It adds a real fresh depth of flavour. I love growing my herbs myself, so I'm going to chop off some of this. This is peppermint basil here. I've also got a bit of, probably I'll add a bit of rosemary as well, a bit of parsley is lovely, and then some oregano as well. Another element I haven't yet mentioned is a great addition if you have any. Personally, I keep a jar, this is just an old jar in the fridge. Whenever I cook anything, I end up removing the bones. So these are some cross-cut short rib, or bones. I save them in the jar and then I add them to the soup. And then when it's slow cooking, it'll extract some marrow and some collagen from these. It'll just make the soup a lot more gelatinous and collagen rich. Add those in as well, and the mixed herbs. And then in a minute I'll add in the softened aromatics. So as you can see, it's going to need some more water. So once I've finished adding everything in here, I will add in filtered water like I just did earlier, until it just covers everything in here. So just to recap, in here now we have our veggies, our browned off chicken, our broth, fresh herbs, aromatics. I'm just going to add in a little bit of mixed herbs as well. And then I'm going to give that all a bit of a stir. Try and make sure it's evenly spread. So I've moved that all around a bit and pushed it down as low as possible. And I'm just going to cover that up with some more filtered water. Like so. Just make sure that they're all pretty much covered. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll add a tablespoon of ghee in here, just to add even more fat and flavour. Pop the lid on and leave it for 3 hours or so. Once you suspect that your chicken has finished cooking, just take out a chicken leg like I'm doing here. Just place it in a bowl or a plate and cut open the chicken and just check that it's cooked thoroughly. I would recommend trying not to overcook your chicken. You don't want it to be dry. And then once here I've confirmed that yep, the chicken's cooked, I'm removing all the chicken legs from the mixture here. Once I've done that, I'll also remove those beef bones I added into a separate bowl and then let it all cool down. Once it's cool, I'll take the chicken legs here and remove the chicken from the bones, also putting the bones aside. The beef bones I discarded because they'd been used a few times. Then once all the chicken is removed from the bones, I add that back into the cooled soup. Mixing this up thoroughly, and then it's ready to warm and serve. This soup is excellent with some buttery sourdough. There's my gluten-free sourdough. And I've also blended up the soup with some cream, and that's equally delicious, as you can see that here. Thank you so much for joining me today. See you soon.